Holy cow. I am 2 years out of college and 2 years into my career. I never thought I'd be in sales, but here I am. How can an introvert, how can someone who was shy be doing okay in sales? And why I actually like sales and why I actually love what I do and I love my job and I feel like I could see myself here for another 2 decades. And I feel like that's crazy to say because a lot of people, this is my personal opinion by the way. I feel like a lot of people they they jump from thing one to thing two because they think the grass is greener, but the grass is greener where you water it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I think a lot of things can work. It's about which one do you want to make it work. So the grass isn't always greener. It's the grass is greener where you water it. Anything can work, right? You can do sales, you can do recruiting, you can do marketing, you could probably do your art thing or your music thing or your hobby or basketball or whatever it is. You could probably do that thing, if not at a professional level, right? Like maybe you can't play in the NBA, maybe you can't play in the NFL, but maybe there's other things you can do. I think if you can find one thing you like and if you can stick to that thing, you can make a lot of money doing it. Because I think a lot of people give up before they give themselves a chance to make it, because it takes a long time to be great at things, right? 10,000 hours is the number that a lot of us know, to master a skill or to be good at something. But that's what I mean by it takes a long time to get really good at anything. Anything you start at, you're going to suck. But a lot of people, in my opinion, think the grass is greener, so they jump ship and they keep restarting this learning curve that is required to be good. And I only say this because I don't really believe in shoulds and like what people should do and telling people what to do. But I also know on the other side of that, on the other hand, is that a lot of people are lost and they don't know what to do. They don't like what they do and they're miserable. They work for the weekends. If you can find something that you like, don't quit because you feel like you're not making enough money. Unless you can find something else that you know you're going to like. You have to like it. You have to put the money aside because in order to make a lot of money, I think you have to get really good at that thing. But in order to get really good, you have to stick with it for a long enough period of time. I remember applying for jobs when I was out of college. There was tech systems. It was a recruiter role, and they said it honestly takes 3 years before you make any real money and any real good money. When I heard that, I thought red flag. Hell no. I'm not doing that. Giving 3 years of my life for the possibility of making money according to this recruiter, like that sounds like a scam. But now, having been in sales, being in my current role, and I'm 2 years in, mind you, it does take time. It does take years, not because it takes time to get good, right? We established that. It takes time to get good. And to say that it takes 3 years to build your book of business and to start making real money it aligns with that idea that it takes time to get good at anything. And so I really have a changed perspective. I really like what I do. And let me tell you, because it's not BS. And I think this is one of my advantages over my competitors because I talk to my prospects and to my clients and to IT people to hear about their experience, the experiences they've had, the good and the bad, what they like and what they don't, so that I can apply it to myself, so that I can remove the bad habits and the things they don't like, and I can add the things they like. Understanding their communication preference. Is it email? Is it text? Is it call? Is it LinkedIn? What's the cadence? How often do they want me to reach out to them? Do they want me to be proactive and reach out to them for XYZ, for promos and XYZ? or do they want me to be reactive or like let them reach out to me? So that's just communication preference. Most people like getting updated because they know you're working on it. And so I try to update people. I try to be responsive. I try not to leave them in the dark. And if you hear enough about people's bad experiences and what people don't like, you can just do the reverse of that. When you ask about these experiences, so coming from a place of trying to genuinely understand what they like, what they don't, their good experiences and the bad experiences, you can just take as much bad as you can and remove it. And so it's like, because I asked them the questions, I now understand that one of the things that my clients and my prospects struggle with and don't like, one of their pain points is that they constantly have to deal with a new rep. The rep bounces around, gets promoted, leave, and then the new rep typically sucks, right? They don't know anything about the business. They aren't responsive. They don't really care. The relationship isn't there because it's a new relationship when the rep leaves. And so understanding that I'm in a fortunate enough position where I am not tied down to territory or state or the vertical or the size, and I can follow my guys anywhere. So I truly give that continuity. I am the only rep they're ever going to have, that they're ever going to need, hopefully for the next 10, 20, 30 years, so long as I like what I'm doing. And so I'm responsive, and I make sure to get them to them quickly. I update them on what's going on, and I just give them transparency and honesty. And I think that's what really separates me from other salespeople. And that's really what I try to do. And I feel like I have to come about it. I have to take that angle. I have to take that approach because, like I said, at the core, I'm not a salesperson. I love one of my flexes that I tell recruiters that I feel strongly about is that I've loved every single job I've ever had. I worked at Chipotle, I worked at Walmart, I was a tutor. Just the idea of serving people. I feel like when you serve people, you're happier. That's why, and there's probably tons of studies on this. People people have a greater purpose, whether that's God and religion, whether that's your kids or your husband or your wife, or it's just for the community around you. When you work for others, you're happier, and you just do more. I think it's just a better approach. So at the core of everything, I try to serve and I try to help. And so trying to figure out how to take a different approach than the regular salesperson, it's being honest and being transparent works so effectively because it's so counter to what the typical salesperson does. Caring about the client, feel, it resonates with my clients because it feels very counter to what you think of when you think of salespeople. When you think of salespeople, you think of people who are only interested in putting money in their own pockets, and you think of people that will only stay with you during the good times and leave you during the bad times. And so I've been heavily obsessed in my barely 2 years in my career in sales and trying to understand what works for me. Being honest, being authentic, being myself, providing updates, being one of the most responsive reps they're ever going to have, offering that continuity, caring about them, and trying to understand them, trying to listen to them, and acknowledging that while I am only 2 years in, I don't have that experience of that 20 years rep, or that rep with 20 years of experience. While I don't have that, everyone has a hand that they can play. And my hand is, you don't want that guy with 15 years of experience because sure, he might have a little bit more knowledge than me, and he has the knowledge, let's just say that. But to him, you're just going to be a number because he has so many other clients bigger than you. Whereas for me, I'm still building my book of business. you're going to be so much more important to me than you are to him. I'm going to give you more personalized attention, more faster response times, and I'm actually going to give a shit about you. You really have a team with us because we're such a good sized company where you're not just a number to us, like, because we're not that big, but we're also not that small where we're price gouging people. We're extremely competitive. I often have better pricing than most other people, but pricing aside, that's not where I'm trying to compete as much anymore. Obviously, I believe that some business is better than no business. When I say I try to take a different approach from other salespeople, is a lot of people focus on building up the relationship to make the sale. They build a relationship and then they transact, and then they're done with them. But whereas I try to flip that around, because I learned this from someone else, is I try to make the sale so that they now trust me. And so then I can build the relationship. It feels really weird to say that out loud and to hear it, but it's just that, at the core of it, when you don't have a personal brand or a brand, when we think of brand, think of like, when you go to McDonald's, it's going to be quick. Apple is an amazing product, an amazing company. You're going to keep buying their iPhones. When you have these brands, like a lot of us are loyal customers of Apple, of Walmart or Trader Joe's or Costco. A lot of us are loyal customers to some company, to some organizations, because we have fallen in love with their product, and we trust them. We trust them to deliver again because they delivered before. I'm a loyal customer of Chipotle. Like, I love Chipotle. I worked there. That was my first job. But their food is phenomenal. It's quick, it's easy, and I know what I'm getting for the most part. Loyal customer of Amazon. I know the shipping is phenomenal. You can get it the same day, 1 day, 2 day, and it's a very easy checkout process. But the point that I'm trying to make is that when you don't have a brand, business development, in my opinion, getting more leads and more clients, is about two things that go hand in hand: common ground and relatability. It's basically the same thing, but I think using synonyms, I like to use synonyms, by the way, because I feel like hearing different things resonates in different ways with different people. And so it generates more ideas and more connections. So common ground and relatability. And so, like, did we go to the same school? Are we both Asian? Are we both short? Are we both guys? Are we both into basketball? Do we love the Warriors, Steph Curry, Netflix, video games? Do we love podcasting? Do we love XYZ? Do we both have kids? Are we both married? Are we both single? Are we both struggling with X? Are we both experiencing bad reps or interacting with blah, blah, blah? It's just finding this common ground and this ways to relate to other people that builds trust. And it sounds, I don't like saying it because on the one hand, I feel like it's the proper expectation or explanation. Without brand, when you're not the Apple of the world, when you're not the Google and the Amazon of the world, and you're outreaching, it comes down to relatability and common ground. That's how you build trust. Because personal branding and then common ground, relatability, at the core of it, if you draw a big fat circle, the word there is trust. How do you build trust? Why is word of mouth so powerful? Because you trust whose word that's coming from. I I have a client. He referred his friend as previous company to me. He gave me a lead. He was a guy that trusts me, so he feels safer to trust me. And so, in a way, that referral, that word of mouth, it's coming from a place of trust is already established. That's why word of mouth and referrals are so powerful, in my opinion. But another thing that's so powerful when it's not referrals, reviews. I'll read Amazon reviews before I buy something, and me and my friends, or at least me, I'll always read reviews of Like when we're trying new food places, I'm gonna read reviews of the place. Or when I don't know what to eat and I just go on Google Maps and I search up food places near me, I'm gonna scroll down and look at the reviews. Everything under 3 stars, probably not gonna go there. Cause why? Because the world we live in is so competitive now. The reason why I wouldn't look for anything below 3 stars, in my opinion, is the same reason why a lot of people aren't looking for mates who are, less than 3 stars out of 10 in terms of like attractiveness or intellect or wealth or XYZ. It's become a very competitive world where you need to be able to have value, right? Um, why I'm not gonna go to a 3-star restaurant when I can go to a 5 for the same exact price. Like, why would I? And so reviews are just so powerful because you trust that the person behind it isn't a robot, right? Hopefully. I know some of them probably are, but for the most part, and you kind of tell sometimes by the way they write or the pictures they take, but regardless, in general, you trust that it's another human being on the other side of the review, that it was their first time buying that product or going to that food place and that was their experience. So you feel like, oh, that person was just like me. Like they never bought the product before, they never tried this food place before, but they did for the first time and this was their experience. They loved it. Oh my god, like I might love it. They said this food was so good, and when I saw the menu, I thought it was really good. They think it's really good. I'm just gonna trust them, and I'm gonna go here, and the reviews are good, so I'm just gonna trust them. It's easier to trust them. A lot of us have role models, celebrities, and people we follow on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and the reason why we'll keep going back to them is because we trust that what they're going to produce, the content, is going to be good. When someone has delivered value to you before, subconsciously, I think you trust them to deliver value again. And that goes back to my idea of trying to make the sale to build the relationship. Because when I make the sale, they will undoubtedly have received value from me in order for that sale to happen. And once they get a taste of that value I have to provide, that is going to continue. That's going to build a relationship because they're going to give me another shot for something else. And that continues to build a relationship. And so I focus on making the sale to build a relationship rather than trying to create a relationship out of nothing and then transact the first sale and let them go, which I think a lot of other salespeople do. But like I said, trying to find ways that works for me, that makes sense for me, and just trying to think out of the side of the box. I I am obsessed with business development. And another aspect of business development, now that we touched on trust and common ground and relatability, is observing the way people cold outreach. There's a lot of stats, a lot of studies, a lot of LinkedIn posts, a lot of YouTube videos of people saying, here's what you should do when cold calling. Here's what you should do when texting or cold emailing or cold messaging on LinkedIn. And then there's clients and even prospects that'll say, I hate it when salespeople do XYZ. And then it goes back to this thing of trying to understand, what do people like? When I say people, our prospects, our ideal client profile, right? Our ideal clients that we want to work with. What do they like and what do they don't? And then it's eliminating the things they don't and then giving more of the things they do like. I saw LinkedIn posts that, please, salespeople, like, don't stop stop pretending, faking, and lying about XYZ to get me on a meeting. It's not gonna work. Instead, you should um do personalize your message, and it's just listening and just trying to consume what people are saying and then filtering it out to what's the majority of people saying that they like What's the majority of people saying they don't like? I've been doing XYZ, and I'm also hearing XYZ. And me hearing it only confirms my belief. So it makes me want to continue to do XYZ. And the XYZ is that when I'm trying to connect to that person on a human level, because at the core of everything, we're still human beings. Yes, we want our businesses to thrive. We both want to get promoted. We both want to make more money. We both want a partner that we can trust, rely on. We want someone we know is not going to stab us in the back when out of the blue. We want someone in our corner when things get hard. We want someone that's honest and transparent, because when they're not honest, how can I trust the thing you have to say, right? Don't lie to me. At least do the bare minimum. Don't lie to me if you're not going to be honest. But it's just doing the things that I'm hearing and doing the things that make sense to me. So I mean, that's my whole take on business development. And I know it's probably very vague and broad, but it doesn't make sense to me to break it down tactically, because what works for me might not work for you. And I'm not someone who wants to impose the way I do things onto someone else, because I mean, who am I to think or try to believe that everyone should do what I do or my way is right? And I don't think there's a cookie cutter way, but at least this one thing makes sense to me, right? The common ground, relatability, trust, personal brand, trust, and just gather data. Try to understand your prospects. Try to understand your customers and your clients. What do they like? What don't they like? That's the exact reason why, or at least from my understanding, that's why customer success teams exist in the first place. It's trying to gather the most important information and the most important data, which is the data your customers are giving to you. Your customers give you feedback that you can take to improve your product or to improve your service. And the great part about being in the industry that I am is I'm not just collecting the data that customers are saying about my company, but what they're saying about other reps, my competition, what are they saying about other companies, my competition. Or I should put quotes around competition, because honestly, the only competition is really myself. It's trying to figure out what can I do better? Like, how can I provide better service? How can I make my client happier? How can I put a bigger smile on their face? How can I get more laughs out of them? How do I get more efficient and effective for them, or help them become more efficient and effective? How do I make their life just a little bit easier? How do I build trust faster? How do I explain or show him the value faster? And I think just focusing on what you can do for them is how you make money. It's how you provide value. Because when you provide value, when you give first, I believe you get. I'm in love right now with this art of reciprocity, and it's just that when you give, you get. And I remember this resonated with me when I was still in college. It's that because I was really focused on how do I make money? How am I going to make money out of college? And how do I become a millionaire? XYZ. It's I remember hearing this quote, and I'm probably paraphrasing. It's when you have value to provide, money comes as a byproduct. There is a lot of things that come from byproducts. Goals happen as a byproduct of the activities and the habits and the systems. And that's why I also love Atomic Habits. Winners and losers have the same goals. It's our daily habits and our actions that differentiate us, because we can both want to be a millionaire. One of us sleeps in until noon, doesn't work out, and socializes the other half of the day, and goes out drinking and wakes up late the next day. Where the other person wakes up early, goes to the gym, eats right, cares about understanding his clients, and cares about providing value, trying to always learn, trying to get better, accepting humility, being honest, trying to figure out how to be a better person, how to be a better communicator, and how to treat that person the way they want to be treated instead of treating them the way that you want to be treated. And it's so many little things I just want to throw into there. And then sleeping early, because sleeping early, I actually think might be better than waking up early. Just a hot take. I haven't experimented with it yet, but eventually I think that's where I'd like to get to. I'd like to wake up without an alarm one day. I shouldn't say one day, eventually. Waking up without an alarm, but then going to bed on a set time so that my body gets enough sleep. But yeah, that's really my take on business development and my job. Oh, yeah, I guess I can talk about other parts that I like about my job. I really like the autonomy. I get to own my calendar. I get to do things the way I want to do it. I remember when I got promoted, I I was given the opportunity to work more from home, more remote days, but I did the exact opposite. I decided to work more in the office. And then I started finding myself in the office 5 days a week, almost every single week. And it's just because I felt more productive. And a lot of people, I guess my manager, a lot of people don't know. It's like I try to work more hours. I try to get in before everyone else. Some days I try to leave later than everyone else. And I'll try to work in weekends when I know a lot of my colleagues probably don't. And that I shouldn't even say that because like I'm not trying to beat shade on them. It's just that like I'm so young and I know I'm looking at the people that are so successful in my team, and it's like that. Yes, at the core, I am, I think a people person, and I like to serve, and I like to help, and I like to teach, and I like to learn because teaching is learning, learning is teaching. But I was also a huge gamer, right? 10 years of League of Legends scholarship, and I'm very competitive, and it's like I want to beat the people or I want to make more money than the people on my team. I want to be better than them, better service, more knowledgeable, and I just want to be better than them. And because I'm so young, because I'm just starting my career and they're not, I feel like I have to work to catch up to them. And so that's what I mean when I really say the whole thing. I don't ever want to, and that's probably one of my weaknesses, to be honest. I I still worry a little bit more about what people think than I would like to. Uh, when I know deep down that I should accept the fact that when I speak, it is taking a risk. Jordan Peterson says it. When you open your mouth and speak, you're taking a risk. But not taking a risk, not speaking, not shooting your shot, not taking a chance, not taking a risk also constitutes as a risk because that risk is 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30, 40 years from now, you might say, I wish I would have done XYZ. And I also like to study a lot of older people and regrets because Gary says regret is poison. I don't recall anyone saying, I wish I made more money. I wished I worked more overtime. I've never heard those words come out of anyone's mouth that I can recall. But things I do hear is like, I wish I traveled more. I wish I spent more time with my family, with my friends, my loved ones. And I wish I didn't care about money as much. And I wish I enjoyed the present. And I wish I enjoyed XYZ. It's like I trying to for me, it's like I'm always just trying to learn like good, bad. Like what do my clients want? What do they don't want? What are the most common regrets? And then what are the least common regrets? And then it's like a scale or it's like a graph, and it's like where do I want to put myself on this graph? I want to put myself on the graph where this is what clients want, and then I want to move as far away from what they don't want, but then I also want to move as far away from what people regret. And I also want to move as close to what people wish they have done, which is spend more time with family, enjoy life, and XYZ. And just trying to ask questions, trying to watch videos, trying to read, trying to ask people, trying to learn, just trying to observe and learn and think, trying to do my best, trying to get better. I used to watch almost after every game I played of League of Legends. I try to watch footage, see what I see what I could have done differently. And I feel like I'm just trying to apply a lot of the things I know about self improvement, getting better at a video game, um, communication, relationships, thinking outside of the box, doing what's counter to what people view salespeople, which is be honest, be upfront, be transparent, actually give a shit, care more about them, and know that when I give first, when I provide value, when I care more about them than I do about money in my pocket, money will come as a byproduct. And when I put in more work, when I put in more hours, when I am more detail oriented and focus on the tiny details and getting it right and doing right by my clients, just focusing on all those things, I know that I will get to the place I want to be. And I've moved very far away from trying to figure out where I want to be 5, 10 years from now, and just trying to figure out, instead of the exact destination, because it feels like an impossible task, trying to figure out what direction I want to go. And the direction I want to go is I'm gonna let the things I kind of want, like money and all this stuff, as a byproduct of my work. And the place that I want to be is I just want to enjoy. I want to keep liking what I do, and I want to keep serving, and I want to keep making money and trying new foods and providing myself the lifestyle I want. And part of the lifestyle I want isn't just the money. It's loving my job. It's wanting to wake up the next day, and it's not dreading Mondays, and it's owning my calendars and doing what I want and having that flexibility when I need it. And it's working more hours when I can. It's I I feel fortunate enough to be in a position, to be in a company where I'm very optimistic about the future. 2 years out of college, 2 years into sales, into my career. This is where I'm at. Thank you guys.